Welcome to live coverage from race headquarters in Alicante. It is leg 10 of this edition of the Volvo Ocean Race. Our helicopter is in the air as the fleet are skirting around the Republic of Ireland. And as we can see, our camera crew just clearing the headland. They are bearing down on the fleet out there at the moment. If you've been following the race over the last 24 hours, you'll know that it has been incredibly light, waiting for the northerly breeze to come in. Now it has, and with it, it has absolutely shaken up the leaderboard. Let's take a look at where the fleet are right now. As you can see, we're a long way from Cardiff already, many miles completed. Sunhunkai Scallywag, they've slipped back, and we'll have a little bit of a look as to why that is. We'll be hearing from the crew, hopefully later on, for a little bit of an insight, but just how close it is at the front at the moment. Turn the tide on plastic, they have managed to really close up. In fact, they were the first one to see the best of the breeze. Team Brunel was alongside them a moment ago, but now they've led themselves back into that attack with Vestas 11th Hour Racing just ahead of them. Who's leading? Well, your guess is as good as mine. Is it Team Axonabel coming in from the right-hand side? Dongfeng Race Team, they had the lead earlier on, and it was 4 nautical miles. But now, as we can see with those live helicopter shots, the conditions are absolutely fantastic. Team Axonabel, right now, certainly at this point at least, they are in the lead. So over the next few moments, we're going to be able to bring you reactions from the sailors. We've got a live link up with Team Brunel. Dongfeng Race Team are also dialing in as well. We're going to be speaking to the sailors, hear from them. Here is the shots from Team Brunel. Absolutely fantastic, perfect clarity shots because they're so close to land. It's a real treat for us to be able to bring you these pictures. And as I was saying, if you've been following the racing right now, you know that this was not the situation a few hours ago. The breeze now coming in from the north, that tricky transition completed. Sunhunkai Scallywag still to do it, but as the helicopter pans around the fleet, you can see the sea state now starting to build. Earlier on, we were talking to Abby Elia on Team Brunel. She was commentating how lovely it was to find the sea so flat, so comfortable, very uncharacteristic for this part of the ocean. Now we can see a little bit more of a return to form. They're going to round the headland. They're going to start sailing out into a little bit more of the open ocean over the next 24 hours, and we can expect the sea state to build and things to get a little bit rougher. Certainly right now, it looks like very good sailing indeed. As we make our way around the fleet, and we can see where everybody is, we can say that the wind at the moment, 20 knots plus, but look how close it is for the lead. Vestas 11th Hour Racing, 11 knots of boat speed as they come in. Team Brunel also coming in from the left-hand side, 12 knots of boat speed. It's been slower for those teams coming in from the right-hand side, Mafre, Dongfeng, Team Axonabel, but it looks like that's going to be our first and second. Dongfeng Race Team here, the red sails of the Chinese boat just coming out into view of the helicopter low to the water right now following the fleet. We are going to be able to keep our eye on this fleet. Our helicopter and our camera crews will be following the race all the way around the Republic of Ireland, up over Scotland, and then into the finish line in Gothenburg. Whenever we get enough light, whenever the conditions allow us to do so, we're going to be out there on the water, chasing down the competition. And how close is this race right now? It was 4 nautical miles between Dongfeng Race Team and the rest of the pack, and it looked pretty comfortable for Charles Cordrelia. But the tracker is live. You can replay it for yourself. There was a huge slowdown in the breeze. All the weather forecasting was predicting that the new wind would arrive, but it has arrived late. But look at this. The camera pans round right now. I called the Dongfeng Race Team were going to be able to cross ahead, and they were going to be in second place, but it looks like Vestas 11th Hour Racing, that's the boat that we can see buried in the sun's reflection on the ocean. They are going to be crossing clear ahead of Dongfeng Race Team, coming across on port in 20 knots of breeze, a huge increase over just 5 hours or so. They are now in second place. So first is Team Axonabel, second Vestas 11th Hour Racing, third is going to be Dongfeng Race Team. Now, with so much position changing happening on the water right now, it's pretty difficult for us to keep up with all the numbers, but we're going to endeavor to keep looking at how this is going to affect the scoreboard. The one thing's for sure is that Team Brunel will be hoping that they finish this race strongly with Mafre, Dongfeng behind them. And equally, the Spanish and the Chinese team will be hoping that too. The big upset comes if Team Nobel and Vestas 11th Hour Racing are up in that front pack, getting in the mix and splitting those top three. And that's exactly what's happening. Team Nobel in first place, 9 knots of boat speed as they cross over on starboard. Dongfeng Race Team in third with Vestas 11th Hour Racing crossing over their bow. Next, it will be Team Brunel in fourth, and Turn the Tide on plastic. Right now, as we move around on the tracker, they are positioned further out to sea. These are the live images of Team Brunel smashing their way upwind. What a change we've seen from when we spoke to that boat on the 1300 Daily Show today. Flat water they were talking about, very pleasant, very comfortable sailing indeed. Now the sea state starts to build and we start to get the chop over the side. Now, fingers crossed, we will be able to talk to the crew in a little while. We were able to link up to Team Brunel, but also Dongfeng Race Team as well. They're also dialing in. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of a reaction. Now, we spoke to Charles Codrelia earlier on. They were pretty happy. They were pretty pleased about where they were, but just how much has changed over the last few hours. So I'm not sure as to exactly which way this is going to go. Team Brunel and Bauer Becking, I'm sure they're equally confused. Let's turn this over to you. We have seen Dongfeng Race Team lose what was a pretty comfortable lead very quickly indeed. So I'm going to open this up to you. Let's have a poll here for everybody that's watching this at the moment. It's a very simple question. By 1300 tomorrow when we get the Daily Show, who on earth is going to be leading this race? Only a little while ago, it was Dongfeng Race Team. Team Brunel looked set to be the boat closest to usurping them for the lead. Now it's Team Nobel, Vestas 11th Hour Racing, Turn the Tide on plastic, their way out onto the far side. They could do some damage out there in the breeze. So I want your opinion on this one. All you need to do is get onto the comments, and you're going to comment with the hashtag of each team. So have a little look at this video. This will explain to you which hashtags that we want to use for each boat. You've got a whole bunch of boats you can choose out there, whole different reasons as to why you'd pick them. But if you think it's Team Brunel, use that hashtag, put it in the comments. Team Nobel, well, they're in the lead at the moment, but it's slender, and we've seen bigger leads than this be completely erased. Dongfeng Race Team, still very much a contender. Or will it be Mafre, the Spanish boat, the powerhouse, the early big contenders? Sununkai Scallywag, if you're feeling brave, well, the odds will certainly be there to pay it out for you. Or Turn the Tide on plastic. They're way out to the west at the moment relative to the fleet. Can still do some big damage. Vestas 11th Hour Racing in second. Use the hashtag. Put it in the comments below. We're going to keep an eye on what your opinions are. Who do you think is going to be in the lead by 1300 tomorrow? And this is how close it is. With our helicopter pictures coming in live at the moment, Team Brunel ahead of them. Team Nobel on the same tack. Dongfeng Race Team also going over. So what we can see as we go on board now with Dongfeng Race Team is they have tacked. They've now tacked onto port. That was the tack that Vestas 11th Hour Racing easily crossed their bow. Team Nobel, they've also crossed over. There's a quite fair bit of activity now on the deck, and not surprising. After the tack, everything's got to be restacked, brought up to that windward side because we are in breeze. Not enough breeze to need a reef in the main, but enough breeze to get all the sails, all the spare weight down below, up on the windward side, keep the boat as flat as possible and as powered up as possible. So we've got onboard shots from Dongfeng Race Team, and hopefully we're going to be able to hear from the crew in a little while. We're also getting onboard shots from Team Brunel. As and when they come in, we're going to be able to hear from that team as well. And just having a look at some of the comments that are coming in here at the moment, we've had a very good point from Daniel Butler watching the live images at the moment. Check your current chart, boys. In fairness, where they are right now, they are pretty close to that shore as well. We are going to see them over the next little bit dodging in and out of these headlands. There are gains out there with the wind bends and everything else. It's going to be very, very close. Now, there's another one here from William Harvey. Team Brunel, you got this. They did have this a few hours ago. Absolutely. They looked pretty good. They looked pretty strong. They were in second place. But right now, they are starting to slip back. They are starting to feel some real challenge. And I think we can get Bauer Becking, skipper of Team Brunel, on the line at the moment. Currently, right now, they are in 4th place, and I'm just going to wait for confirmation that we've got him hearing us. I think we can get him now. Bauer, if you can hear us, thanks very much for dialing in. A huge change in the conditions over a very short period of time.
Yes, can hear you loud and clear. Yes, the northerly came in, or the northwester came in, and actually the boats are a little bit further. The boats who are a little bit more inshore got the pressure first, and so it was a little bit of turnaround of the tables.
And we're seeing everybody at the moment heading inshore, heading up on port tack. What's the game plan here? What are you guys trying to do? Is it just get as close as you can to the land? Oh, we just lost the link with Team Brunel, but we're going to try and get back to Bauer Becking. I mean, you know, it was one answer, but let's draw some conclusions from it. He didn't seem, he didn't look, he didn't sound particularly happy. And as you can hear, they're having a little bit of trouble going out to the left-hand side. And that wasn't where the breeze came in first. I mean, it certainly wasn't the best angle for them when it did come in as well to come sail back over the fleet. So we're back on board at the moment with Dongfeng Race Team. The stack looks like it's been completed on deck, probably, potentially, still some movement going on below with all the rest of the gear getting moved up. Still a little bit of movement there. I'm just trying to pick out a few people. I think that might be Charles Cordrelia on the wheel. And we've got the helicopter nice and low at the moment as the fleet tacks over onto port, sails upwind onto the northeast, and sails themselves back in close to the coast. And the tracker is live at the moment on the website. You'll be able to follow all of this move by move, and you'll also be able to see where the breeze is going. But I think now we can get Bauer Becking, the skipper, back on board. So let me put it to you, Bauer, if you can hear me. We're watching everybody sailing back up to the northeast. What's the strategy at the moment? Where's the gains on the race course?
Well, of course, the gains are the team who gets the wind shifts and the favorable current. Right now we're just dodging the current, so we try to sail out of it. And but that will be the.
Oh, Bauer, just one more question, if I've got you. I know you've got a lot on, but right now we're seeing Team Axel, we're seeing Vestas 11th Hour Racing coming into the mix. For you on the scoreboard, I'm guessing you need those two boats in the mix. You just need to be ahead of them.
Well, it's still a long way to go, and we've seen that in the last 15 hours. There have been a lot of lead changes. Yeah, of course, it's nice to get boats in between yourself and the two red boats. But what I said, it's a long way to go, and you can see it just changes every hour. So not too fussed about it right now.
All right, Bauer, listen, we've got so many fans watching you at the moment, following you. We've got loads of people linking in at the moment from the Netherlands. I wonder whether you've got a special message for them, for your fans cheering you on at the moment.
Well, of course, thank you all for the great support. I think it's nice to be the underdogs, but I know we go really well. We sailed a lot. Actually, the first 24 hours or the first 27 hours, we sailed nicely. We are happy with our speed. Maybe a little bit unlucky when the transition came, but we've got full confidence. So yeah, bye.
Bowie, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sure you've got a lot on right now with the race being so close. I'll let you get back to leading that team. Keep pushing hard.
All right, catch you later. Bye.
Bauer Becking, skipper of Team Brunel, just taking a little bit of a time out there from skipper duties, just to talk us through what's happening at the moment. And if you missed it, he's talking about the current, about the tide out there on the water. Right now we're seeing everybody clearing the headland while in the breeze and sailing up into the northeast, getting themselves back in close to land, getting out of that adverse current. Right now looking pretty good, Dongfeng Race Team. They have only got two boats ahead of them, Team Axel and Vestas 11th Hour Racing. And A couple more good points coming in on the comments at the moment. We've got Gabor, I'm going to try and pronounce this name. Apologies if I pronounce this incorrectly. Saventiani asks, how can AXO and Vestas 11th Hour Racing even out the score? Is it still anybody's race? No, it's not anybody's race. There's 1, 2, 3 boats, Mafre, Dongfeng Race Team, and Team Brunel that are vying for that top spot. But with the points being so close, Team Brunel need to get boats in between them and Mafre and Dongfeng Race Team. It's not enough for Bauerbecken just to win this leg and win the next leg. He needs to get boats between them. So earlier on in this race, in this leg, with Team Brunel in second place, but with Dongfeng Race Team, with Mafre so close to him, Bauerbecken was pretty much fresh out of luck. It wasn't enough. Now the other boats have come into the mix. If Bauerbecken can wriggle through, get themselves back out in front, then things start to look pretty good. So even though we're going to be talking a lot about those top 3 boats on the overall leaderboard, for Dutch fans, you are going to want to see Vestas 11th Hour Racing at Team AXO Nobel turn the tide on plastic. Sun Hunkai Scallywag, you're going to want to see those boats up near the front, getting in between Team Brunel, Dongfeng Race Team, and Mafre. That's when the points get very interesting indeed. Well, the heli just coming round now on the fleet. Certainly from my eye, the conditions looking very nice at the moment. We've got another comment coming in here from Makel O. Foglu. Says, Ireland looks well from these angles. Yeah, it does actually. If you've been following the race over the last few days, you'll know that it wasn't the best display of weather that we've had, but right now on this coast of Ireland, it looks absolutely fantastic right now. Light breeze as we were going round Fastnet Rock. Certainly all the sailors quite happy with the flat conditions that we've had so far up to this point. Now the test begins. 20 knots of breeze that we're seeing out there on the race course. It's going to get a little bit windier than that up near Scotland. This is only the start of it. A Dongfeng Race Team at the moment, live on board, the stack completed, the crew sitting up on the windward side. And that's not something that you see that often. A lot of the times on Dongfeng Race Team, a lot of times on all the boats, you see the crews downstairs, taking a little bit of a rest, not putting their weight up. But right now, Charles Cordrelli, it's almost as if he said to him, look, you're off watch, you're taking a breather, but you're going to do that on deck on the windward side. You're going to hike. We're in inshore mode. I mean, they are right now only a little way behind the other boats. They know that they can get themselves back in the first place. A few hours ago, it wasn't that way. When the breeze was light, they had a chance to take a look around and enjoy a few things. And what fantastic sights they did see. Have a little look at this for Dongfeng Race Team. This was a superb little sight as they got a lovely visitor out on the water. The Irish Sea, well known for wildlife. Definitely a place to go sailing if you want to see dolphins and whales, and Dongfeng Race Team got an absolutely fantastic treat. Light winds as they approach the Fastnet Rock, but a full school of dolphins coming around the boat from all angles, and as the OBR sent the drone over, flying low everywhere, we get to enjoy that little moment as well. However, right now, things have changed. The race is absolutely on, and it's going to come down to those little half miles. Now, don't forget, we're running a poll at the moment because interested to see what you can make out of this. As we can see, Mafre right there, Team Brunel just slightly upwind on their hip. Dongfeng Race Team on the top right-hand side. We've got Vestas 11th Hour Racing doing well as well. Team AXO Nobel now taking the lead. The question is, who is going to be in the lead by 1300 tomorrow? Who is going to wriggle through this incredible change that we've seen in the breeze? We know that the current is going to have an effect. Bauerbecken just said so. Who do you think is going to be out there? Let us know in the comments using the hashtag for the teams. And we're going to have a little bit of a look at your answers in just a moment. See if there's any real consensus in the fleet at all. Well, conditions are good, 20 knots. Full main at the moment with the J1 on Mafre. Looks very similar setup-wise to Team Brunel, to Dongfeng Race Team. At the moment, I've got to say, by my eye, I haven't noticed anybody doing anything vastly different to the rest of the fleet. In these conditions, it's all about winding the boat up. And as Bauer was saying, you're looking for the shifts and you're looking for the current, trying to get yourself into the best water. It's not enough just to rely on your knowledge of how to set the boat up. In these conditions, largely, it's easy. Pull the sails in, wind the boat up to full power, and just sail it on that perfect upwind balance. As Team Brunel, they're looking pretty good as well. Sails in nice and tight. How much crew do they have on deck? is what we've seen from Dongfeng Race Team, with their almost look like 4 or 5 crew members on board on that windward side. Just to the camera, just pulling back there from the masthead shot from Team Brunel. Just wondering, I mean, I can't see much more than 2 crew members on deck on the windward side. There might be somebody a little bit closer to the hatch. And also, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that the stack on board Team Brunel, a lot further back. The sails on the windward side on board Dongfeng Race Team were in around about the middle. A little bit of a balance between keeping the stern down and the bow down. On this one, on Team Brunel, they've gone, no, we're going to put the stack further back. Bow can come up a little bit, stern can go down. So a little bit of a difference, potentially, in how they're sailing these 2 boats. Certainly the only thing that I've noticed so far on this upwind, as the chop starts to come in, and the boats will start to get a little bit wet. Well, that shot as the helicopter just pulling back, showing you exactly how close the racing is at the moment. Team Brunel currently in 4th place, with Dongfeng Race Team just on their windward side in 3rd, Vestas 11th Hour Racing in 2nd, but making some good progress into the land first, with Team Axonabel in the lead, but it is slender, and we could very much expect all these numbers to change very soon indeed. Well, chop's starting to come down, the waves starting to build, but as Bauer Becking was saying, the current currently right now working against them, therefore the current going in the same direction as the wind. That's keeping the sea state down a little bit for now, at least. But this windy conditions set to continue for the next little while, and then they're into some big breeze once they clear the corner of Scotland. Team Axonabel right now in the lead, and as the helicopter and the camera operator zoom in on the Dutch boat, Simeon Team Point skipper, he will be remarking on what an unbelievable turnaround this has been in 5 hours. Now in the lead as we go into the upwind leg, and arguably in a very strong position indeed. Just to leeward of them, they've got Dongfeng Race Team. Out to their right-hand side, further inshore, they've got Vestas 11th Hour Racing. That will be a boat to watch. They will get themselves out of the worst of the current first. But realistically, Team Axonabel don't need to worry about boats further out behind them, out towards their left-hand side, because there is nobody there at all. At this point, the Dutch team can put their bow down a little bit, sail fast into the inshore side of the course and try and lock down any attack that Vestas 11th Hour Racing might launch from there. And let's take a little bit of a look at the stack and the setup on Team Axonabel. I can see 3-4 crew members on the windward side. The stack looks like it's in the middle. Not what we saw from Team Brunel, but what we did see from Dongfeng Race Team. And with these boats being one design, the sails being the same, it's not about what equipment you have on board, it's how you use it, how you set it up, and how you tune the boat together. And there, as the camera pulls around, we can see that stack in the middle of the boat with the crew members down on the backside. Well, as we go back to the virtual eye 3D tracker, you can see how that has panned round. Team Axonabel on the top. We've got Vestas 11th Hour Racing in second place, Dongfeng Race Team in third, Team Brunel in fourth, Mathfrey in fifth. Turn the Tide on Plastic are in sixth place, but they're on to a little bit more of a different track. They are out towards that left-hand side, and something still could happen out on that side. They are hoping that the strategy pays off, being a little bit further offshore. Now, we've been running a poll, and we're going to come to those results in just a moment. But before we do that, let's have a little bit of a listen from an update from Team Axonabel earlier on in the day as this leg unfolded.
Couple of challenges ahead. You know, immediately, very soon in the near future, we're going to have some light air off the corner of Ireland, then some upwind and light air again getting across the ridge, and then some sort of fresh southerlies to take us up to the top.
breeze out there, or sort of come in a bit? Well, I guess we're doing the same. The map are getting bigger. It's pretty rugged, and the water's pretty fresh and clean. And there's lots of granite which has been weathered by a lot of storms, so there's a lot of caves and arches. And it's pretty green as well because it rains a lot here. And there's a lot of good pubs on every headland. That's why I like it down here.
Jules Salter on board Team Axonabel, and now we can see him on the deck, I believe, sitting to windward. So Team Axonabel also getting the crew way all the way up. We've got Martine Grail on there. I think that's Emily Nagel as well. Simeon Team Point, the skipper, just sitting behind the onboard reporter, up on that windward side, all the weight up there, trying to maximize this little gain that they've got. They're in the lead right now, but we asked you who was going to be in the lead by tomorrow, 1300 UTC, when we do the daily show, who it is we're going to be talking about. Let's take a look at the poll, the results. Well, number one, and very strongly indeed, it is Team Brunel, which I've got to say, I mean, you guys have got a lot of faith in Bauer-Becking, because right now he's down in 4th place. And when we spoke to him just a moment ago, I mean, I'm no expert on reading body language. He didn't seem particularly happy. So maybe you guys know something that we don't. Certainly by past form, it has been Bauer-Becking and Team Brunel that has been sailing through everybody. But at this point right now, I'd be impressed to see them in the lead by 1300 UTC when we do the daily show. If I'm wrong, well, join us live and you can tell me all about it in the comments. So Team Axonabel, they're in first, and as the helicopter pans out, we'd expect to see, there we go, Vestas, 11th Hour Racing. That's the boat that Simeon Team Point will be most worried about at the moment. They're the one closer into shore, sailing a little bit lower as I look at the tracker. They seem to be just sailing a little bit faster, a little bit more punch, and there we see, from the 3D tracker, yeah, confirmed, 10.6 knots. Team Axonabel, 10.3, so a little bit faster for Vestas 11th Hour Racing. That could be a design just to get the bow down, get themselves closer to the shore, and sooner than everybody else out of that adverse current. Of course, they're going to have to tack at one point. They're going to have to make their way back over. Let's take a look at how they're setting themselves up as the camera whizzes past. We've got a mid-stack for the sails. So far, it's only been Team Brunel that seems to be stacking at the back of their boat with their sails. A good few crew up on deck, but like everybody else, the same sail combination. No reef in the main, J1 on the front of the boat. And on the track at the moment, we also can see Mafre in 5th place. They are also quite close to that side. So even though they're a little way back, they're actually in a pretty strong position here. I wouldn't rule out the Spanish boat, but take a look at Turn the Tide on plastic here. Now, Di Cafari and crew, they were doing pretty well in the early stages of this leg when we were talking about 24 hours ago. There was a point earlier on where fans of Turn the Tide on Plastic got very excited indeed. They were the first to see the breeze go from 3-4 knots to 13-14 knots. Sadly, though, it wasn't at an angle that they could really capitalize. However, they've elected to stay a little bit further out to the left-hand side. In terms of current, it's not great. This group are going to be closer inshore and out of that current before them, but maybe Di Cafari and crew know something we don't. Vestas 11th Hour Racing, though, they've got a very strong reputation for being smart about what the breeze does when we get close to the shore. Simon Fisher, the navigator, just going down below. I think he had the racing tablet in his hand, just coming up, talking to Charlie Enright that we can see on the helm. And we've got Tony Mutter, I think, on the pedestal, just going out of view underneath the main. And our onboard reporter on board there. Fantastic conditions right now. I've got Jeremy, I think, our onboard reporter on Vestas 11th Hour Racing. Relatively flat conditions as they start going in a little bit closer at the moment. But earlier on, was 24 hours ago maybe, or less than that, the fleet coming around Fastnet Rock. We were live to follow them around it. It was light breeze, but for all of the sailors as they sailed around lunchtime today, local time here in Spain. They were very pleased to see this iconic landmark in offshore racing, not least on board Vestas 11th Hour Racing, with Tony Mutter being very familiar with that particular landmark.
Have been around Fastnet Rock, I don't know, must be at least 10 times, and round Island twice already. When it's nice round here, it's really nice, like today. It's pretty good. It is actually raining up in Cork at the moment, but as we're approaching Fastnet Rock, it's a pretty nice, pretty mild day for Ireland. At least it's nice now, because I can tell you on the weather forecast, once we get up the top of Scotland, we're going to get our ass kicked again. Just one last time in the Volvo. These boats are going so quick now, you just want the difference between not moving and going fast is a lot of miles. I'm actually surprised it hasn't happened already in the race a few more times. But just sailing now with what we got, and here we are, sunny island. I can see some sun over there on the land.
Oh, just from that interview, you can see how much has changed over such a short time. The conditions now very different to what we saw earlier on in the day. Light conditions when we were doing the daily show at 1300. Now it's evening here in Spain. It's coming up to sunset on the Irish Sea, but Vestas 11th Hour Racing charging along upwind, 18 to 20 knots of breeze in a building sea state. The bow lifting up high out of the water as the waves rolling in with J1, full main, full stack, full power now for upwind, and it's going to remain that way for a while. It's going to get wet for the sailors when the tides turn and the sea state starts to build, but this is what they sign up for the Volvo Ocean Race. They know that this leg, although short, the first of our shorter European legs, is certainly going to pack a punch. The North Sea up the top of Scotland, I mean, they are going to be going further north than Cape Horn is south. Not so much famous for its adverse weather conditions, but when the breeze blows up there, it will certainly be very challenging sailing indeed. Right now, though, well within the realms of what these sailors can control. Charlie Enright in full control on the helm at the moment. Let's take another look at the 3D here. Let's have a look at where the fleet are right now with Vestas 11th Hour Racing. And look at that, in the last few moments, Vestas 11th Hour Racing down into third position. Now, we were talking about Charlie Enright steering that boat a little bit down, a little bit bow down, a little bit fast, trying to get into the inshore. And what has that done? Well, in the short term, it's put Dongfeng Race Team right level with them. Just a second ago, it's flicked back Vestas 11th Hour Racing in second place. But that means, in terms of ranking to the next waypoint, these two boats, neck and neck. Behind that pack, we've got the Turn the Tide on plastic. But even further back than that, we still have another boat needing to make up the miles. Sun Hunkai Scallywag made one small critical error earlier on in this leg, and they have paid for it dearly, falling behind the tide, falling behind the breeze. And don't take my word for it, just listen to how the crew described just that one momentary loss in a hugely important, critical time in the leg.
Yeah, it went through a little cloud, bit of a transition from like 25 knots, and we're now in 8 knots again. So I don't know, hopefully the other boats are sort of going slower than this, because we're going to be a long way behind the next sked.
Yeah, we really copped a heavy punishment for a little mistake. We knew the importance of that transition, and we're going really well. I think we're in third, and we're 300 metres to leeward of Turn the Tide, and put the bow down 5 degrees thinking that we were in the new pressure, and we weren't. We sailed out of the pressure and fell off the cliff. So yeah, it was pretty tough to take, really, because now we're a long way behind, and making up those miles will be pretty difficult.
Well, that's the reactions from the team on board Sun Hunkai Scallywag, and what I can tell you, and what you can see from the 3D tracker, is they are now going round Fastnet Rock. A point where the rest of the fleet went round far earlier on today. We covered it live this morning. But now, Sunhunkai Scallywag, they're going round. They don't have any company indeed. And the breeze a little bit light for them, 8 knots at the moment. However, we have seen that boat dead and buried in legs. They have been really far behind. However, they have then found their way through. So do not rule out Sunhunkai Scallywag. We know there's going to be some difficult transitions a little bit further ahead. Turn the Tide on Plastic right now. They are also looking up. They are also looking to make up a few miles. They position themselves out to the left-hand side, first to get the breeze, but one of the last boats to tack over and sail themselves back in. And they're clearly quite happy about where they are. Speed-wise, they're not suffering. 10.8, we've seen 11s from them earlier on. There we go again. And I think we can get the helicopter that's been flying over now to Dikafari's boat and crew. So we should be able to get some shots from them. There they are right now on the water. Turn the Tide on Plastic. Close enough to see the rest of the fleet, know where they are, keep a little eye on them, but far enough away that they might see a little bit of difference in the breeze, a little bit of a difference in the conditions, and they're going to try and exploit that. The tracker on the website, it's live. You're going to be able to follow all their moves. Where I'm looking from at the moment, they seem to be a little bit higher, steering a little bit more to the north compared to the rest of the field. That might just be a moment on the tracker. Check it out for yourself. You can follow it. That's certainly what they need to do. They need to be sailing a little bit more to the north compared to the rest of the boats, cutting the corner and trying to make up that distance. Shortly, the rest of the fleet, once they get themselves far enough in towards the land, they'll want to tack over and bounce back off. Turn the Tide on Plastic will hope before that happens that they've been able to be more efficient on this port tack. As the helicopter gets close, let's have a look at how they're sailing well. Sail setup-wise, very similar. Main, full main, J1, absolutely full canvas, big power on the upwind, and they have got full crew up on the windward side with a midway stack. So still, it's only Team Brunel splitting their stack between the middle and the back. As the full crew up, they seem to know exactly how important this moment is on board Turn the Tide on Plastic. They're down in 5th place right now. So the computer's saying that in terms of distance to the next waypoint, they're actually doing a little bit better to Mafre, but you could argue, and I think potentially you could argue successfully, that Mafre tactically are in a stronger position. Dikafari might disagree, fans of the boat might disagree, and I'll cross my fingers for them indeed, because this is their opportunity in terms of tactics. We've seen this boat make the right decisions when we go upwind. I'm thinking about the leg from Irijaí to Newport, the boat that made every shift call correct was Turn the Tide on Plastic. So now as we go into this upwind section, is this going to be a moment that plays into Dikafari's hands? Is this going to be the chance for Turn the Tide on Plastic? Well, they're in the sea state. The bow is certainly up and out of the water, certainly sailing along with every little bit of power right now. And just looking out across the horizon from the helicopter, we can see some clouds up there. Still some weather to come in. If you've been following the race on the tracker, the weather prediction, it's all there. But you'll have noticed over the last few hours, it's not been in sync with what we've actually been seeing. We've been thinking that this breeze that they've been sailing in right now was going to come in much earlier. It hasn't. It's really held on. What that could mean is that the weather forecasting for the next few hours is a little bit out. So even though the navigators have got all this wonderful computer power on board, the latest weather models, the computer will advise them on which way to go based on what we think the breeze is going to do. Sometimes those predictions are wrong. That's when the instincts come in. Instincts that have been sharp on Turn the Tide on Plastic when we've had those moments play out before. It looks like we've got Bleddyn Mon, the Welsh lad, on the wheel at the moment. Martin Strongberg, I think, just coming up from the pedestal. We've got 4 on deck. I think that's Brian Thompson, the navigator, with his yellow hood up, talking himself. We've got another crew member down on the right-hand side. I think that's Francesca Klapcic, the 49er FX Olympian and Radial Olympian as well, back on for this leg right now, with 5 crew on deck, a boat that sails with 10. It's 5 down below, and we'll more than likely have Dikafari or somebody else glued at the nav station, reporting what's happening with the other boats, having a little bit of a look at what's going on, because Turn the Tide on Plastic will be very eager to make full use of this split, small, yet still a split that they have engineered in the fleet. And let's just remind ourselves of how big that split is right now. Turn the Tide on Plastic are out to the west. They are back compared to the fleet. However, the computer right now ranks them in 5th place. 6th, just behind them, marginally, the Spanish boat Mafre, sitting all the way behind. Oh, look at that, just in that little split second. Turn the Tide on Plastic now 4th. Team Brunel falling back into 5th place. All those people that voted for Team Brunel, well, right now, short term, your predictions are wrong. Turn the Tide on Plastic seems to be the one that's making the gains. Keep your eyes glued on the tracker there. This is a key moment for Turn the Tide on Plastic. We have got a big split, though, between this pack and Sun Hunkai Scallywag. They are a long way back, but the speed has now started to build. 11, 12 knots for David Witt and crew. But just look at how much more sea they have yet to go. And soon we'll start to see them leaving the coast of the Republic of Ireland, sailing themselves up north into the cold, into the breeze, into the waves, and then over the top of Scotland before we start seeing them come back down into Europe and then into that finish line in Gothenburg. We've got plenty of racing still to go. Some big transitions in the breeze and some big wind waiting for them in the North Sea. Potentially 35 knots coming out. We're going to be back tomorrow. We've got a quick fix for you in the morning. 1300 UTC. We've got the Daily Show, as always, where we're going to be seeing who it is that is going to come out into the lead. You guys voted for Team Brunel, or at least the vast majority of you did. Right now, though, we see them lose a place to Turn the Tide on Plastic. Will it be Team Axel Nobel still in the lead? Vestas 11th Hour Racing, is that inshore course going to work for them? Or will the powerhouse of Dongfeng Race Team and Mafre, the two boats that always seem to find that speed edge, are they going to be the two that are going to start sailing their way back out into the lead? Tomorrow, we're going to keep you up to date with the race. We'll see you then.